Welcome to Dane's Desk. On this episode, we will be talking about turning podcasting into a brand building machine for your business. So let's get right to it right now. Let's start off with the problem, as always. What is the problem that business owners are having, specifically when it comes to marketing, specifically when it comes to customer acquisitions, specifically when it comes to bringing in new business? It's one relatively simple question that every business owner has on their mind at all times. Whether they're successful or not, they're always thinking about this question. And what is that question? That question is simple. How do I get my product in front of more new potential customers? That's the number one question dominating every business owner's mind when it comes to marketing. And nine times out of 10, if you're watching this, that's a question that's been on your mind. You put all that work, you put all that energy into creating the product, but now it's figuring out what you can do in order to get it in front of more potential customers so that obviously you can have the opportunity to sell. In an interview I just did with one of my uh, entrepreneurs for Product View, he shared a very interesting story about the point how at times entrepreneurs we can get so caught up in stockpiling our inventory. We can get so great at creating a product. We can get so good at product that we forget about the other parts of our plane, and so we never really get any altitude when it comes to our success in this business. There's no real ascension, and it all boils down to the fact that we're just not operating off of the best strategies, and we're not operating off of the best information so that we can get the strategies. And that was a real good point that he made, because those are definitely things that I see you know through myself, as well as through other business owners and entrepreneurs, as well as those aspiring. One of the things, the biggest mistake I should say, is we really don't get told. We get told, this is what you got to do to be successful, and when it comes to business, and that you got to have a good product, you got to have a good business, but no one ever actually sits you down and says, okay, well, here's how you build a good product. Here's how you build a good business. Here's how you put together a good marketing plan so that you can bring in more new business, bring in more new customers, get existing customers to come back and do business with you. And when it all comes down to it, it comes back to marketing. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Because relying on word of mouth and referrals and just hoping people see you, those aren't tactics that are going to put you in a position to be as successful as you can be, within your business. You're going to have to be a lot more strategic when it comes to your marketing, and you're going to have to be a lot more, put in more effort in regards to being on the front lines, specifically when it comes to the planning and the execution of your marketing strategy. This isn't just something that you can throw money at, and then again blow it, and then feel like you've been taken advantage of, but because you didn't even understand your strategy. So that's why I want to talk to you about podcasting today, because podcasting is a simple long-term marketing asset that you can create for your business that is going to do way more work for you than word of mouth, than referrals, than hoping people find you and see you. The thing about podcasting, again, is because you've created now some content, it lives in perpetuity. So there's the possibility for exponential, ROI in regards to, people seeing the video, hearing what your message is, taking you up on an offer that you've given them, and coming back to do business with you. Now you can increase the probability of your success by making sure that you take, like I said, be more strategic in regards to what your message is going to be, and how you're going to get it out there. So podcasting is one of the best ways you can get it out there. Podcasting is one of the best ways you can get your product in front of new customers at all times. Podcasting is I'm gonna say the holy grail in that. Think of every episode that you're on and every clip from that episode that gets put out and repurposed on social media. Think of it as a sales rep for your business. And as long as you have your links and within the video, ideally, there is information at a bare minimum of your business name, your company name, as well as what your name is so people can find you. Then again, as long as your message is on point and you're providing value in regards to identifying a problem that someone is having with what you do and then giving them a viable solution that they can put into practice, then again, people are gonna want to know who you are, and that's gonna be more eyeballs on your product because you are your product at the end of the day, and we have to get the product in front of more customers. And podcasting is the one of the best ways of doing that. So that's your solution. It's leveraging podcasting to bring in more business, leveraging podcasting to get your products, get your business, get your company, get your brand in front of more customers. Because here's the beautiful thing: if you're, I recently did an interview with a vegan restaurant. They have a cafe. It's a lifestyle, I should say, but they do have a cafe. We shot the interview in the cafe, and one of the things that they can do, for example, is go on other podcasts about fitness. Why fitness? Because fitness, people who are into fitness are into having a good diet, eating right, eating clean. And so they would be able to go on to any fitness podcast and, talk about their their message, their brand message in a sense. And a good resource for you to develop your brand message is Donald Miller's. Do I have the book around? So I have it somewhere around here. But it's Donald Miller has a book called How to Start and Grow Your Small Business. Like that's an excellent resource for you to tap into, just to learn some of the lingo I've been saying. So brand messaging. What is your offer, things like that. Go check out Donald Miller as well as businessmadesimple.com. Those are definitely some great resources. Back to the topic at hand. So solution. Podcasting is your solution to getting your business in front of more new potential customers at all times. And again, if you're a vegan restaurant, for example, going on fitness podcasts, those are your potential customers. Those are your ideal customers. Those are people who are trying to eat clean, are looking for diets. So again, if you're a vegan restaurant and you do meal prep, then all you gotta do is go on these podcasts, and every time someone listens to that podcast, whether it be on their platform or whether it be on your platform, or every time someone sees a clip about you talking about what you do, in this case being a vegan restaurant, then again, it's gonna make them feel like they know you better, feel like they have a real relationship with you, and so now the relationship begins. And in this case, that relationship is business being like they become a paying customer. They give you money for your solution. That's the value exchange right there. You provided you've identified a problem. So in many cases, when it comes to meal prep or food, in this case, it is people don't want to make the food themselves. They don't want to, for whatever reason, they don't want to do it. And so if you can identify people who want to eat clean, who want to eat healthy, who want to eat a plant-based diet, but they just don't want to make the food for whatever the reason is, then again, if you are a provider of that quote unquote service as a vegan cafe, vegan lifestyle, then boom, you know what I'm saying? Like those are your potential customers. So get on those podcasts. And again, ideally, consistency is key. So you want to be doing at least one a week. That will be your best bet, because again, with every episode that you put out, whether it's on a big platform or whether it's on a small platform, again, your goal isn't necessarily just solely the content creation, because that's important. But again, your goal is also being of the understanding that this is a long-term play. So every episode, every clip is an asset. It's a sales rep, pushing your message, pushing your brand message. And that's how you have to look at it. And that's why podcasting is a simple way you can leverage, you know, digital media to get your brand message out there. Again, get your business in front of more eyeballs, get your business in front of more potential new customers to do business with you. That's how you do it. So podcasting, if done correctly, can be utilized for any business, no matter what you do, because again, your customers listen to podcasts. uh, it was when I did my last round of research, I believe it was about 135 million US listeners per month. That's how many people listen to podcasts. And that was from like 12 to 54 or 55, something like that. So your ideal customers are listening to podcasts. Your job now is just to figure out what platforms they're tapping into, where they're hanging out, and making sure you can get on those platforms. Again, identifying groups that they hang out in and getting your content in there. So that's where the repurposing of the content comes into play, because that's what you are going to have to do. Because again, like you gotta, like, as I like to say, you gotta run your own cash register. You gotta run your own storefront. You gotta run it yourself first, so that you can clearly understand what it takes to be quote unquote successful or run it profitably, so that when you do bring on people, you understand what their task really is and what needs to be done in order for the business to move forward, in order for you to gain that altitude. They won't be able to pull fast ones on you as much or at as high of a rate, as they could, just because you never ran your cash register like that. You never run your business storefront like that. So in this case, when it comes to, starting off, well, that's action. We'll say that for a little bit, but for to clear up, or to shore up, I should say, the solution in this case. So again, we know what our problem is. As we said, it's how do I get in front of more customers? So that's the number one question every business owner has on their mind when it comes to marketing. With that problem being established, now we have our solution. Our solution is podcasting. We are going to leverage podcasting as a marketing tool to speak on podcasts our customers are listening to. So you want to speak on podcasts your customers are listening to. All right? Because again, I understand what it feels like to want to, in this case, like I said, struggling with, you're struggling with enough exposure. I mean, you're struggling to get enough exposure for your brand and more brand recognition. So again, you're telling yourself, you need to do these things, but you just really don't know the best way of going about it. That might be one thing, on your mind. Another one might be, you want to build some authority. You just don't know what the best strategies are. So again, podcasting, that's a strategy, a marketing strategy. It's going to help you get exposure even while you sleep. And most importantly, again, if done correctly, and by if done correctly, making sure that you have your brand message, shored up, make sure it's compelling, make sure it's something people want to take advantage of, or make sure it's something people are interested in, I should say. Then you include an offer within these podcasts and within these clips. And again, that's how you're going to generate the business, because we don't want to just get on these podcasts for the sake of just getting on these podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Because again, there's time, there's energy, there's effort, there's expertise, there's strategy that goes into this stuff. And if you don't have it, and I know this might sound great, but it's just like, where do you start? And how do you implement it? How do you integrate it into your business, and what do you need to do? And again, I understand all these questions are happening, but you just got to realize that as long as you have a solid vision of what you want your business to look like in the future, know that podcasting is a strategy that you can put into practice on a week to week basis to make it happen. So now that we are very clear on our problem, we are very clear on our solution. Again, we're going to use podcasting as a long-term marketing asset, not just as a play to create content. Now that we have that established, the next thing we want to focus on is taking action, where the rubber meets the road. And in this case, you really have two simple actions that you can take. Action number one, you can start your own podcast. Yes, that does come with some expertise in regards to knowing the equipment, but that's not some big mountain that can't be climbed in a sense. That's not a problem that's hard to overcome. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there that show you everything you need from an equipment perspective, and 9 times out of 10, you most likely, if you're going to be looking at this on a smartphone, or you are looking at this on a smartphone right now. So especially if you have an iPhone, then you already have everything that you need to get started. There's a episode, one of the previous episodes I did, I think the one before this one, where I go through all the equipment that you will need just to have a mobile podcasting setup. Because as long as you have something, you can get started. And again, you don't need some full fledged commercial grade, commercial spec system, cameras, lighting. No, you just need the basics and vision and the discipline to stay focused on the vision, and then apply what you know. And that's it. So just always ask yourself what's next. Don't get caught up in the tyranny and shit. All right. And so the next thing we want to cover is action. So again, we just talked about you if you want to get started in podcasting, the first thing you can do is start your own. And while you can do that, a more, I guess you can say, a quicker approach would be to be a guest on other people's podcasts. Now, here's the catch. Even if you do start your own podcast, you still want to be a guest on other people's podcasts. Or you want to be a host on other people's podcasts. Maybe, you can JV with someone within your industry to do a podcast. That way you guys both get to your different markets. Obviously, you guys provide complementary services or products, and you can take it from there. And again, when it comes to, what do I talk, like, don't get caught up on the baby steps, I would say, or the little things, like, what am I going to talk about? And again, just keep it very simple. Identify, just talk. You can go to your, so if you're, again, vegan restaurant, there's a conversation that's happening on in these digital streets, and in the regular streets, about vegan restaurants. So you just gotta, or clean eating, alkaline diets, etc. You just gotta find out where those people are hanging out, and make sure your message is there. And when it comes to topics, just, what I'm saying, like, go find out what they are talking about, and then talk about that. It's just that simple. And then when it comes to, like, a simple framework, just use the one I always use, which is problem, solution, action. No matter what the topic is, there's going to be a problem, then there's going to be a solution to that problem, and there's going to be some action people need to take to put the solution into practice. And you just rinse and repeat. It's just really simple. All right. So again, don't get caught up on the baby steps. These are not things you can't overcome. Just get started and apply. Like, that's really the biggest thing. It's just application, application, application. No matter what you do, just apply what you know, and learn more as you go. But apply what you know. And just keep moving forward. All right. So those are the two things you can do when it comes to taking action. You can create your own podcast, or not, you're going to create your own podcast, and you're going to be a guest on other people's podcasts. So again, speak on podcasts that your customers are listening to. Again, if you're a vegan restaurant, vegan cafe, you do meal prep, whatever it is, one of the simplest steps you can take is just getting on fitness podcasts. So go pull out, you literally just pull up your, especially if you have a productized offer. That's really, like, the biggest thing right there, ladies and gentlemen, is having that productized offer. If there's one thing that really will be a game changer for you, it's going to be having that productized offer. And by productized offer, I mean having a way for potential customers, paying customers at that, to pay you for your solution. Because again, if you're going to be on podcasts, getting that brand message out there, letting people know, if, for example, you're a vegan restaurant, you do nationwide meal prep, if that's what your message is, and that's what you're going to be saying, you can go to our website and order now. If that's what your offer is, that's what your message is, then again, you have a productized offer. Because again, people will be able to go to your website, they'll be able to put their information in, let you know what they want, and put their credit card information in, and then hit the pay button, and then you get some money, and then you send them what they want. And then now you got a new customer, and it's just that simple. But again, this might be from a clip that they saw randomly on social media, or something else they saw on the podcast. But it was just as simple as, but they wouldn't have been able to make that simple step if you hadn't taken the time to be on a podcast, whether it was your own or a guest on somebody else's. All right. So now that you know what it takes to leverage podcasting to turn it into a brand building machine for your business, it's just action. That's it. Just go take the action. Go take those steps. I'm here for questions. Use the comment section below. Ask me some questions. You can DM me on any platform you're seeing this on. But at the end of the day, YouTube you is your friend, and you can go over there and find the answers to every question that you're going to ask me, and just get started. You know what I mean? Like, stop doubting yourself, stop questioning yourself, stop thinking or stop telling yourself everything needs to be perfect before you begin, and just get started. You know what I mean? So with that, I leave you. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to, again, comment section below, DM me. And if you need help getting on podcasts, getting your own podcast started, so that you can get your product in front of more eyeballs, then give me, like I say, hit me up. I'm here to help. And I would love to put you and your business in the position to be able to get more exposure and get more brand recognition. All right. And I have plenty of products that at my disposal to help you make that happen. Whether you are starting your own or you just need to be a guest. All right. So let's get started. I'm here to work. Are you? Peace.